All right, wonderful. So I am probably the most fired up and excited about this part of the class because this is one of my favorite practices. Max said, Chris, choose some practices that we can do that are in theme. And there's a lot to choose from. And, I really wanted to pull something that was alive in me. So this is one of my favorite practices. Um, it's called balancing the five elements. Very old practice, 18,000 years old, they say. So we're going old school. We're going way back, the opposite of technology. And what I wrote here is if we want to find balance in the digital world, first we need to find balance in the physical world. And so back in the old days, 18,000 years ago, they kind of divided up the physical world into five elements, which are earth, wind, water, fire, and space. And we probably heard the four elements, kind of earth, wind, water, fire. And so we're just adding a fifth one, space. And what I love about this practice is it allows us to connect with nature, connect with the world, and to really kind of divide it up into bite-sized chunks and to kind of connect with each element, because traditionally they say, every space is made up of these five elements. And at first we were looking at a practice called forest bathing, which I really love, but it's a little conditional. You got to go out to the forest. Who has time for that? What I love about the connecting with these five elements is they can be found everywhere. And so, we can, when we have time, we can go out into nature. We can go practice at the beach or at a park in an outdoor setting. But we can also practice inside, and we're going to practice this here. We'll do a little guidance, even in the room that we're in right now, or the room that you're in, at home. We can touch this practice in the parking lot or in our office space or wherever we work. And so when we are in relationship with the natural world, when the natural world is in balance within us, all sorts of, let's start with when we're not in balance with the natural world, when we're not in balance with these five elements, a lot of emotionalities and suffering can arise. But when we're able to connect with the world around us, we're able to be grounded in the earth element and be open in the space element, be joyful in the fire element. It can help us balance and give rise to a lot of wholesome energies. And really, this whole rest of the day, we're going to be focusing on how to cultivate and develop wholesomeness, wholesome qualities of mind, wholesome actions of body, speech, and mind. And when I say wholesome, what I really mean is in accord with our intention and aspiration. All those when we started, how do we want to be in the world? So these are practices that can really help us generate energy to bring them alive. So I don't want to go into too much detail because time, but I will tell a little bit about the five elements, just so we know what we're looking for. And the earth element connects us with groundedness, connectedness, strong and steady focus. Think about the earth, the dirt, standing on the beach, standing in the woods, the earth element, the trees, the woods. And I walked around before we started and there's grass. You can go out, we'll have some time at lunch. We can walk barefoot, sit in the grass. There's these big wooden benches, thick wood. You can just sit and connect or sit on the ground. We'll walk on the shell path and connect to the groundedness and the stability of the earth. The water element connects us with comfort, fluidity, being at ease and peace. Comes to mind is a hot bath, feeling relaxed and at ease in a bath. And as we go look around the center, we can see there's a lovely water fountain. If it rains, when it rains, just to sit and listen to the rain, the comfort and the ease that we get from that. A lovely pond right back here. And for the folks at home, you can start thinking about, if you're all at your house, perhaps, sources of earth, sources of water. Fire element connects us with joy, inspiration, creativity, energy. And one of the biggest ones here in Florida is feeling just the heat of the sun, going out, standing in the sun for a little bit, feeling the warmth of the sun on your body, sitting next to a campfire, a fireplace in your house. The hot air, which normally we're so willing to, turn it into a problem. But the reality is that where we live, there's heat outside. We can stop and connect that. Our body is made out of heat, giving off heat too. We can connect with all these elements. The air element connects us with flexibility, movement, liveliness, lightness, and freshness. Feeling of a cool breeze outside, the wind. Or when you're hot and you come indoors, the feeling of the AC, the cool air, cool fan rushing over you. And finally, the space element connects us with openness, accommodation, and vast acceptance. You step out into a big field, you step out outdoors, you look up at the sky, the cloud, the night sky. There's that sense of openness, sense of acceptance. Being in a big hall, big room, the meditation hall here, the high ceilings, there's so much space in there. So we can go into natural settings, wherever each of these elements, we may notice them, being stronger. And we'll focus on one element at a time. What I love is it's a bite-sized practice, so you can just kind of choose one. We don't get overwhelmed, overstimulated. We can go to a park, the woods, the beach. There's so much at the beach, from the water, the wind, the heat, the vast open sky at the beach, the sand. But even if we can't go outside, and we can't travel, and we can still connect to these elements, like I said, at home. The cool air, and the AC or a fan. The spaciousness of whatever room you find yourself in. A cool glass of water, holding in your hand, drinking some water. The warmth as we hold a hot cup of tea or coffee, connect to heat. Or even just the support of the chair we're sitting in, or the cushion, feeling the floor, and lay down on the floor. So even indoors, I really like this practice because it's so lovely to go out in nature and connect, but we're not reduced to only being able to practice when it's comfortable or nice or we can get out. I'll just say, when we connect with the elements, whether it's space or heat, we can send that energy to parts of our body where we notice it may be lacking, right? Part of our body may be constricted. So we connect with the open spaciousness by just sitting, looking out a window. We can just connect and send that to all the cells in our body, specifically where there may be constriction, maybe where we need heat. So much of what we consume in the world is very negative. It's very looking at the problems. And this is a practice that's looking non-judgmentally, right? That's trying to touch reality in a way without the commentary, without the story. And often if we're starting, we might have to um, prime our experience by going into more starting with pleasant experiences, right? So we don't want to, if it's a challenge being outdoors because it's heat and I feel uncomfortable, we don't start there. Maybe we got to build up to there. So going to, sitting somewhere cool, in the shade or indoors and just looking out a window, we may want to start there and cultivate wholesome relationships, and then move to more neutral spaces, and then a space that's more challenging, we can kind of work up to there. So yeah, it's kind of find, this is still just like the reflections, it's very personal and experiential for yourself, and you got to find how am I going to connect with the world around me, like what's really, and that's why kind of making these more bite-sized, I think, helps to like not make it so overwhelming, because we're really just kind of taking one little bite size of the experience that we're having right now, and really just letting that kind of come in and out of us, and then really just starting to recognize that in wholesome ways. And I'll just share that the context, how we can do this practice in our daily life. Because again, we all really don't have time to go out to Lettuce Lake Park up there and walk the boardwalk, but that's lovely. And if we can do it, I really support that. There is a practice called forest bathing, which I recommend everybody Google. Forest bathing. There's a lot of books. There's even parks now are doing it. They have come on Saturday for a forest bathing workshop. It's a wonderful way to connect with nature. But how we can use this practice is in short moments. So I'm sitting here, I got a laptop in front of me, I'm working, right? And I notice I'm distracted, tight, agitated, or that I've lost track of time, and oh my gosh, it's way past lunch, I haven't taken a lunch. I can just immediately stop, look up wherever I am, to say, are there any of the 5 elements here? And connect with it. Just connect with the open space, eyes open, my senses open. I have a water bottle here, right? Just stopping and drinking cool water. In just a short moment to connect, come back and touch that cool water. As the cool water enters my body, and the cool water is now within me, just kind of connect with that. And connect with the fan or the AC wherever you are. So this doesn't have to be a long 30-minute guided meditation. It doesn't have to be super formal too. I mean, it's great if you want to practice it in a nice long formal session. It's very healing, very nourishing, just like taking a long bath, right? You can take a bath and touch the heat of the water and touch the fluidity of the water. But it can also just be short moments. You're sitting working, you have your coffee next to you, just put your hand around the mug. Put your hand around the mug and just feel that heat, connect to that heat element just for a moment, right? Let it penetrate the cells in your hand, let it penetrate your body. Come home and recognize that your body is hot. Your body produces heat. It's made up of heat. And then drink your tea or coffee, put it down, go back to work. So the capacity to practice these again and again in short moments, bite-sized moments, I think is just so huge for helping us to come back to reality, to come back from our devices and touch what's wholesome. I'm distracted because I'm not liking what I'm seeing on the news. I can immediately come back and just touch, and just go, step outside for a minute and touch those. So hopefully this kind of gives us usability to how we can use it within the context of living wholesomely from our aspiration.